One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
I actually owe you an apology before we start. I've been very critical about you, how you fight. All through the campaigns, I voted for you because I like policy. I didn't know you as a man. And I think when you don't understand what a man fights for, you can get lost, especially with all the noise we're seeing from fake news, etc. Who created these pictures from you. So, Gut Feel show's over. Cameras are off. We go backstage, and I expected you to be like every politician or anybody I've ever celebrity I've bodyguarded for, and you met my family, and you talked to my daughter. Mm-hmm. My daughter is 10 years old. Her name's Georgie. You guys talked for 20 minutes. If nobody knew, you could have been her grandfather, and you were talking about her horses and her dreams. And I was sitting there, and I was like, I have been so wrong about this man because I never understood why you fight the way you fight. You're a family man.
I am.
You're a father.
And your daughter's a gorgeous, really, and your wife, the whole thing. I mean, you have got some setup, I'll tell you. But your family's great, and you're great, and you've really done something, and you've captured a certain spirit. You know, a friend of mine who's very smart, he's also a very big guy. He said, because I'm big and strong, people think I'm not the smartest guy.
Oh, I know.
Okay? You are a really smart guy. And I see it, and I've watched it, and I like the show, and we have the privilege of having had the highest rating in the history of the show when I did it a couple of weeks ago. That was just
of all time.
Of all time, yeah.
We beat network television.
You beat everybody.
And they were up 35 million homes,
right. Yes.
and it was a landslide.
Yep.
Now, you're putting it on me. I'm throwing it back to you, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Why do we not hear more about Donald Trump, the father, the grandfather? And I did a deep dive. There are some things you have done that when they say those horrible things like he's Hitler, he's a racist, did they not forget in 1991 what you did with Nelson Mandela? Yeah. Would you care to share that? Because I would love to hear that.
I never talk about it.
No, you do not. And I know why, because you're a man.
Yeah. I mean, I just have great relationships with a lot of people. People say that, a little bit like you do. I don't think it's a narrative the press likes. Maybe it's not even a narrative that I should have. We have to protect our country, and maybe we should let the other side. I don't even call them the enemy. I think we have more of an enemy from within than we do from outside. If you have a smart president, They talk about China and Russia and everything else. If you have a smart president, they're not going to be the problem. We have a bigger problem from within, and they ate it. I noticed today they were saying, he said the enemy from within. Of course, it's Adam Schiff. These are bad people. These are sick people and bad people, and it's true. But I think it's a narrative that they don't like, frankly. I think the fake news, a term I think I came up with. I'm very proud.
Oh, you did. You coined it.
It's not
you
tough.
should probably trademark it, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I should
I'm not going to give you business tips.
But it's funny because it's a great term, but it's actually not strong enough because it's beyond fake. It's really bad.
Welcome. This is going to be a little bit different of a show. So let me just let the ladies know. There's going to be some testosterone flowing through here. This is a show directed at the men. And maybe for ladies who want to give their man a swift kick in the butt and say, get going. Now is the time to get ready. So this show tonight, or this afternoon, is about men realizing Trump is a man. That men need to rally around. None of this caustic, toxic masculinity bullcrap. Actual man stuff. And so I was going to do something today, and I was going to bring in Dan Bongino's interview with Trump this morning. But as I listened to it, I realized it would get me in trouble with the people here, because they went into some of the third rail stuff that these guys don't like, and I'm tired of having to mute stuff and everything else. So I'm trying not to go there. But at the same time, where we are right now, as Trump was saying about the enemy within, which is really pissing off the left. And if you watched Kamala's speeches lately, they're not good. And the rhetoric she's using at this point is why today I want to make a call to all men. Because the vile, screaming stuff she's doing about Trump, and that Trump can never, ever, ever set foot in the White House again. I don't know if you've seen it. Notice she doesn't say, I need to beat him. Everything at this point is focused on never let this man set foot in the White House. So, instead of being doomy and gloomy, what I'm telling you, and what I've been telling you, and now I'm going to direct it directly to men, is get frickin' ready. The race is over. You got to vote. You got to come out in numbers and do what you're supposed to do. But he's going to win. I'm calling it right now. Tonight, I'll show you some stuff before the rally, but I'm calling it. I've seen enough. It's over. The race is done. He's going to win. Great. He's going to win. But I'm not smoking the cigar yet, and I'm not doing any victory march, because now, in this next 2.5 weeks, I'm ringing the bell telling men, get ready. I mean, absolutely get ready. Coalesce around other strong men. Men, protect your women. Men, protect your children. It is about to get squirrely like you don't even know squirrely. And there's small indicators out there. Well, they're not small. They're actually big. I mean, check this out today. And when you see this, you have to wonder, what's going on? You guys know I'm with Lear Capital. And so this isn't even part of a commercial for Lear Capital, which I'll run one. But this happened today. Silver just made a new 14-year high, trading above $33.25 for an ounce. The opportunity to buy below 30 is likely gone for good, but the opportunity to buy below 40 still exists, is what I'm saying. Like, I've talked to a few people, because it's still going to keep going up. But not for long. Gold also hit a new record high today, above $2,700 an ounce. So I ask you, why do you think silver and gold both are flying through the roof right now? What do people who buy silver and gold know that you may not know, but that you should know right now, a couple weeks before an election? You see, I look at that as a bright, blinking neon sign. I'm appealing to men. I don't care if you buy through me. I don't care who you buy through. Actually, I do care. Go ahead and buy through me. But you better get ready. The wheels are about to fall off, and the music's going to stop, and your butt's not going to have a chair. I am seeing a lot of men now beginning to coalesce behind Trump that you wouldn't ordinarily think of, many of whom are black. And I've beaten a horse. It's not dead, but I've beaten a horse telling you, hey, something's happening. These people are freaking out. And I'm going to show you today some prominent black men, like Tyrus and some others, who are like screaming, going, hey, what in the hell's going on here? We're going to go for Trump. Now, Stephen A. Smith didn't go that far publicly, but when you hear what he has to say, I think any reasonable person would conclude that when he shuts the curtain in the booth or fills out the ballot at home, he's going to vote for Trump. I don't care what he says in public. There's too much passion in what I'm going to show you what he says for you not to realize, excuse me, that's where he's headed. And so now I'm going to be the coach, not like Timmy Waltz, not doing that. I'm going to talk to you and whoop your ass right now. I'm going to stick a foot up your butt. You better get ready. I'm done doing fluffy videos and talking nicely. And no, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with Robin. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with Ashley. The talk is coming. This ain't the birds and the bees. This is the sticks and stones talk. Many of us had that sticks and stones talk when, we were 10 and 12. Words can't hurt me, but sticks and stones can break my bones. Y'all remember that, right? Well, there's a lot of people out there who probably have a lot of sticks and stones. They're taking over friggin' apartment buildings. Let me just tell you that. There are newcomers taking over apartment complexes. Gold and silver are flying through the roof. Kamala Harris is out there screaming about Donald Trump can never, ever, ever, with an angry black woman face, saying he could never take office again. She didn't say, I have to beat him, you have to vote for me. She said, no. We got secret conversations at funerals where Obama is telling Biden, oh, we still got time. Still got time for what? What do you still have time for, Barack? The voting is over. There ain't any undecideds. It was so funny last night when the comedian actually said it. I was like, I told you there are no undecideds. Everybody knows there's no such thing as an undecided right now. There are just people who are flipping. And unfortunately for the left, they're flipping to Donald Trump. They know it's over. Donors are pulling money away from Kamala. It's done. So now, it's funny. I was always taught by my coaches growing up and to work out and train. And I remember one year, I think it was my junior year in high school, junior or senior year, when a guy did the most awesome pep talk I've ever heard. We were facing a team we weren't supposed to win, to beat. And he goes, I've prepped you, you've ran, you've lifted, you've done everything possible to be put in a position to win. And today, my job is to train you what happens when you do win. And we all looked around and went, what do you mean? When we win, we're going to be high-fiving and happy. See, not many people understand what happens when you win. Are you prepared for what happens when you win? You see, when you win, you become the target. You now are the person every Saturday afternoon somebody goes, oh, these guys are good. We got to go after them. We got to bring our A game. We got to beat them. So I want to know from you, when Trump wins in a couple weeks, are you prepared for what happens when he wins? You see, we waited years and we've done everything we could to get it to this point, and we're ready to win. And I'm thinking a lot of people on November 5th are going to go, that was great. Hey, what's for dinner? What are we doing? We going shopping? What's up? No, no, that's when it actually begins. And I need the men to understand, you can't prep and then stop. You need to prep and be ready for November 6th, maybe the night of November 5th. Are you ready for what will come to you, what the adversity that you will be facing after November 5th? I bet you there's not a lot of people who even thought, Barry, what the hell is Barry talking about today? Adversity on November 6th? Oh, yeah. That's when your game starts. Because that's when the nuts and the orcs decide they ain't going to have it and they're not going to play well. And they get in league with all the newcomers who realize at that point that the grift is over and get the hell out of these hotels. Where are they going to go? All you need to do is look at what Kamala Harris has been saying the last 2 or 3 days. She completely shifted. It was joy. I'm the joyful warrior. I'm going to do everything I can to make this country better. And now it's just complete vitriol, pissed off, screaming at people like it's 1939 and she's Adolf. And so if you know that's what they're thinking, at this point, you have to realize what you need to do to protect your family. So I'm going to continue with this, but let me just jump real quick to taking care of some business with Lear Capital, because if you saw that and you understand that gold and silver are spiking, that's one way to prepare. And if you see what's going on in the world right now and what may happen here in America, you may want to prepare and pay attention. You know that Lear Capital is a big supporter of this show. If you want to be protected in the event that things go off the wall, I advise you to look into buying gold and silver. We are all just one catastrophic event away from the value of the American dollar plunging. Do you know what's not plunging? Gold and silver. In fact, gold hit an all-time high recently. In fact, I think it hit it again today. I'm telling you now, make sure that you have some form of your money invested in precious metals. Lear Capital will ship your gold or your silver coins directly to your house. It's not just a certificate. You can store them in your gun safe, or you can store them off-site in a 24-hour protected facility. It's totally up to you. But when things go crazy here or across the world, the value of the American dollar is going to decline. It's inevitable, and it might not even take a war. We may do it to ourselves. And I mean, the Federal Reserve plays around with interest rates, the US dollar will likely decline in value as well. Meanwhile, you'll see gold and silver continue to rise in value. If you call Lear Capital, they will take the time to educate you and answer all of your questions about gold and silver. Just give them a call at 800-601-5430 or go to Learberry, that's me, Learberry.com, to download your free de-dollarization report. You should know that Lear Capital is an American company. If you call them today, you'll be speaking with people right here in the United States. Now is the time to take action. Don't wait until after the election. That could be too late. We all want Trump to be elected. But if he isn't, or if they find a way to steal it, you'd better be prepared. Call 800-601-5430 or go to Learberry.com. And when you call, ask them how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold with a qualifying purchase. There's absolutely no obligation to buy anything. Just free information on protecting your hard-earned dollars with gold and silver. You know, when you think about it, you're actually not buying anything. You're simply going to be exchanging dollars for gold, moving currency. Give them a call today. Tell them Barry sent you.
Nelson Mandela and 80 of his constituents were trying to come to the United States.
Yeah.
The United States government wasn't helping him. No one was helping him. You chartered a 727 plane for their entire trip.
Yeah.
How is somebody, and it's crazy because you can talk about anything, and why is it hard for you to talk about the things you've done? It runs in your family. Your father helped build a synagogue. I mean, why do we not know those things?
It's something that I've never, I love doing it. I don't need praise for it. I don't, we all like a certain level of praise, but I've never I just like helping people. I help a lot of people, and I enjoy doing it, and I never talk about it. It's nice that you bring it up. I also think it's not a narrative that the press likes talking about, for me.
But I think it would help a lot of the American people who have been misled, I myself included. Now, listen, I'm voting for you now because of the man you are, not just because of the policies, because not every American will get the opportunity that I had to saw who you were backstage. And that's why I have this list. I mean, I have testimonials. We can't go through all because of
I want
time.
to see them.
Now, this was, I had to dig deep.
I like that.
You donated $100,000 to raise dogs. You're not even a dog guy. Yeah. Explain that.
Well, that's Lara. So I have a wonderful.
As I've mentioned before, there are many things that this man has done that nobody knows about and the media won't talk about. One of those things, you can go ahead and Google it yourself, is when he took in Jennifer Hudson's entire family after the rest of her family was murdered. But they never talk about that. These are two guys sitting here. Trump is basically being his buddy at this point. We're not even so much political. You're getting an insight to the man. Tyrus talked about him being a fighter, but at the same time having the capacity to be, empathetic with people. He talked to his daughter. He flew Nelson Mandela. Nobody knows that stuff. You know the racist guy Trump is, and he's flying Nelson Mandela out of South Africa?
Well, the wife of Eric, and she's a terrific person. She's actually now a very big an important person in getting elected in the Republican Party. Comes from North Carolina. She loves the dogs, and I did that in her honor, actually. And if you listen to her, boy, dogs are treated very badly. They're some evil people having to do even with dogs. So I did that for my daughter-in-law. Yeah, more so than me. I don't know that much about dogs, but I want to take care of them. And I had an opportunity. As president, you can do a lot of things. I did a lot. The size of the kennels, the size of the cage, there's like cages that they're in. And it's terrible. It's like you have no room, no nothing. And she came in with a whole group of people. These are people that really fight hard for dogs. I mean, you have people that fight. And she's a good person, so I did it for her.
I have hundreds of employees who have said things like, you've paid medical bills, you paid mortgages, rents, you've helped get family members. There's one story in here where a brother came in with a business plan. Nobody would hear him. You gave him 10 minutes. You shook his hand and you cut him a check.
Imagine that. This guy who the press has said is this big racist guy. A black man walks in with a business plan and gets an opportunity to pitch Donald Trump. And lo and behold, he likes the idea. Whether or not he really thought the idea would work, he cut the dude a check.
Yeah. Why is it so hard for you and even your team? I'm a little upset. These are things that I think the American people need to know. And I get it, you're humbled because you're a father first and a grandfather. And that's something, again, one thing we need in this country is we need a father figure again. We need husbands and boyfriends and young men we need to see that fathers are capable of great things.
Exactly. There's a number of different things I'm going to show you today, but that's in essence what the left hates. They hate having father figures. They don't want people to look up to the man there and be the head of the household, to lead his family. That's one of the things they hate about Trump. He's a grandfather. He's a father. He's a husband. Tyrus, the same thing. Me, the same thing. And many of us didn't learn the right way to basically be men. And now it's a time where your manhood is about to be taken from you. You don't think so? Just think of the term toxic masculinity. What in the hell does that mean? You, in the essence of your testosterone, despises them. They don't want to have anything to do with men that are patriarchal in nature. That goes back to the biblical sense. And so they've basically tried to chop away for decades from men being men. And now, which they never counted on, never in their worst imagination, they knew there were some white guys out there that wanted to be fathers and lead families, but they had worked so hard to make it so that the black guys wouldn't be like that. Go ahead, screw around, spew your seed, have as many wedlock babies as possible, destroy the nuclear family. And now, like Tyrus just said, wait a second, being a grandfather, which I love, being a dad, which I love, and being a husband, which I love, are all things to aspire to now. And the worst of the demographic that has basically shunned that were black men, because they were hoodwinked into the rap culture and the weed and everything else and don't be daddies. And now some of those same people are now looking at this thing and going, yeah, this is pretty cool. Well, that little girl or boy that's looking up to me, I got to change my ways. They didn't tell me it would be like this. I didn't know I would basically be responsible for this little man, this little woman. Well, and it's cool. It's fun. As Tyrus is talking to him about his daughter's horse, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a black man. Many of you white guys have already heard it before. Like, yeah, of course, we did that. But yeah, my dad and I, we went hunting it. This is going to make some of you laugh probably. I once thought about writing a book. I never wrote it. Maybe I can still write it. Maybe somebody will steal my idea. And that book was going to be, I still have the title, Learning to Shave. And you're like, well, that's a pretty stupid book. Until you realize how many black young men had no one home to teach them how to shave. Yeah, think about that. And how it started was I was in my fraternity house drunk, and we were watching one of the guys get ready to go out, and he was shaving. And one guy just goes, who taught you to shave like that? And the guy turned around, my dad? What do you mean? And then we started talking. Who taught you how to shave? Oh, what do you mean, who taught me? My dad took me and said, he just did it. And then said, now do it. And then they got to me and said, who taught you how to shave? Oh, really? And then I started asking some of my black friends who I know their families had been split. And I said, who taught you how to shave? And every single one of them, myself, I cut myself. I didn't realize what I was doing. And I went to the grocery store, the what do you call it? Where the drugstore is, drugstore. And I bought the shaving cream and I practiced in the mirror and I didn't know. And so I went to a barber shop, and no one had ever taught young black men how to even shave. Basically one of your first rites of becoming an adult. And most black men didn't have anybody there. And it's so simple. And I remember when I met Robin, she goes, that'd be a great idea. I said, it'd be 350 pages, but every single guy would tell me a different story, but the thing would be the same. There was no dad there. And now, much to my happiness, I'm looking at men, and mostly black men, starting to embrace this thing called fatherhood. And Trump is the apex animal at this point, who is basically telling men, be good fathers. And if you're going to be ready to protect people, that's the first thing you need to do, is be a good father, husband, grandfather.
Because we've dealt with it, especially in the last 3.5 years, right, a complete dismemberment of what it is to be a man. We're under attack for everything.
We are. Well, actually, manhood is under attack. Yeah. I see things that are so beautiful, and the next day I see they're knocking the hell out of somebody for doing something that a day before I said, what a wonderful thing. No, we have to get back a little bit more. The other thing under attack is religion. Religion was like the glue that kept this country together, and so many people are mocking it now. They mock it, and it just kept our country together. But it's absolutely under attack. And under attack.
I watched this and I went, oh my goodness. This is what they don't want. This man is talking about, I got shot, And so I know it has to be God. I really don't understand what exactly happened. And people are telling me it's a miracle, but I don't know. I wasn't really, a Sunday guy. And now I'm realizing for more and more people I talk to, I shouldn't be here. I should be dead. And there's no explanation because as a businessman who's been very successful, he's used to people having an answer. Hey, so why did this happen? Oh, it happened because the concrete. And why did this happen? Oh, it happened because the wind structure. Blah, blah, blah. How am I still alive? No answer, except one. And I'm sure he's talked to many, many people, and they all say the same thing. No answer. Sorry, Brett. You just cashed in the lottery ticket with the big guy. And I'm sure it shocked somebody who's worth billions and has had whatever he wanted and did whatever he wanted with women and to realize, no, you're not in control. No, dude. You couldn't buy your way out of that bullet. It wasn't going to happen. There was only one way that happened, and that's the way that many people are finding that at this point in our time is the way forward, to be a man following God. Now, I know I'm going to lose a bunch of people right now. Oh, Barry's preaching. I don't care. I know what the next 30 days may be like. I know what'll happen when lights go off and we can't access anything. Then you're going to have to lead, and you're going to have to lead understanding you're standing on faith. Oh, yeah. At that point, daddy government's not going to be there. And ask people in North Carolina right now who are standing on faith because daddy government ain't there. You find out real quick who's your ally, who's there to support you, and who's going to lead you. And that's going to be a man who understands God, which is the antithesis of what's going on the left. Want me to prove it to you? I didn't have a chance to download it, but there's a video. I put it in the forum. If you haven't joined the forum, go ahead and join that. A woman went to Kamala's rally recently, and now it's everywhere. And she was talking about the one thing she cares about most, the big A, getting rid of babies. And a guy screams, Jesus is Lord. Now, she could have just ignored it. She could have said, based upon what we saw yesterday in that video, she could have said, Amen. But what did she say when the man said, Jesus is Lord? You're in the wrong rally. You need to be over there. Wait a second. The man said Jesus is Lord and he's in the wrong place? At that point, a bunch of men should have just left. Thank you for telling me. I'm out. If you didn't know before you came to Kamala's rally, when she said that, you're in the wrong rally? You want the other one? That's all you needed to hear. She said that, I think it was today or yesterday, whenever the woman took the video hit today. Scout's honor. That's out of her mouth. You're in the wrong. Jesus is Lord. You're not supposed to be here. Get out. And people are voting for this? Seriously? If you haven't seen it, let me know. I posted it on my profile on X because we couldn't just post it here. Anyway, I'll continue. And so everything that they're doing is basically the antithesis of what a man is supposed to be doing at this point. The only reason you should be on your knees is praying to God. The rest of the time, you should be defending your family and getting ready for what's about to happen. And so I listened to this thing with Tyrus, and I went, wow.
By this administration. And you look at Kamala, she's worse than Biden. Biden is he's out of it, okay?
Oh, yeah.
But she's actually not as smart as Biden. Biden was smarter than her. I think to this day he is. And I don't think the country can take a chance on having her. I think it's a tremendous, I don't even think it's a chance.
Well, let me ask you,
I think it would be a disaster.
Let me ask you the question that was posed to her last night that she refused to answer. You debated Biden the first time. and you debated him the second time. How much of a difference did you notice from the two?
So, are you talking about her and him, or are you talking about just him?
This is
him.
interviews about him.
Well, he was different. I think he had a really bad night. I don't think
Cognitively?
he had a. I don't know. He had a really bad the second time.
Yeah.
I think he had a really bad time of it. So I debated him before, and he was okay. Look, I hit him hard. I asked him about $3.5 million. Remember when Chris Wallace was protecting him? Chris Wallace is not doing so well. Chris Wallace is not Mike. But I asked him about the 3.5 given to him by the mayor of Moscow's wife. I said, how do you justify this? And then I always have 2 or 3 people to debate. The last time I had David Muir.
I call them interventions.
Oh, they're terrible. Well, David Muir, I said, crime is through the roof. It's way up. And he said, no, it's not. It's way down. The FBI said so. Well, the FBI didn't include a lot of places.
Funny how that is.
Yeah. The next day, you remember they announced that crime is up like 45%. So I was right. But I haven't gotten an apology from David Muir, but I don't watch him anymore. I haven't gotten an apology. No, I think Biden, look, the debate he had was not great. But I think that he's a step above her, actually.
Speaking of apologies, the brave men and women on the border, especially the horse division, that their lives were put in shambles. One of the things I have on my policy list was that would you consider giving them a day at the White House, a moment to be recognized?
Are we talking where they were saying about the whips and everything else, which didn't exist?
Not just them, but their families. When the President of the United States comes out and condemns them.
You do it. You set it up. We win, I'm there, because that's it. We have to win. If we don't win, we're not going to have a country. You're right. They were brutalized. You know, it's interesting. These people are not smart, but they're vicious. They're very vicious. And you see it. It's like fascist. It's like Marxist. I don't know what the hell it is. But the level, look at me, the weaponization of the Justice Department. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
America, again, this is not hyperbole.
So I'm getting a lot of comments for people like, show the video, show the video. So let me go ahead and stop for a second and show you this video. Since I'm doing this mid-show, it's kind of different because I have to basically work it so that you can see it. Trust me, it's everywhere. You won't be able to not see it. But 1 second, let me put it up here and grab it so we can all listen to it. Some of you will be absolutely shocked when you hear what is said here. And this is a woman who was at the rally, and she recorded it because she just wanted to go as, you know, to listen to it. And she couldn't believe what she heard. So let me see if I can push it over. I know you're not telling me to put it because you don't believe me, but you just can't believe that this was actually said. So here we go. Let me make sure the volume is correct and hit the play button.
A few weeks ago, I attended the Trump rally here in my town. Before I dive into what I'm about to share, here's a peek at that. Well, today I found out that Kamala Harris was coming to my town, so I decided to go. I wanted to see the differences. Notably, I had to show my ID to get in to see her. But anyway, I was making a video talking actually about how sad I was that the loudest cheering at the rather small event came in support of abortion, when I panned over to the crowd and to her speaking, and I caught something I wasn't expecting. Check it out. Not a lot of energy here, but everyone just cheered and screamed for killing babies. So that was disappointing. Anyway, here she is. Did you hear that? Some guy in the crowd shouted, "Jesus is Lord." And Kamala said, "I think you're at the wrong rally." And then she said, "Try the smaller one down the street." Everyone laughed and laughed and cheered, but I was at that rally. There were almost 7,000 people at it. Today they said there were 2,500. Nobody waiting. Open spaces. I wanted everyone who's a believer to hear that for themselves.
Again, we're not going to be gaslighted on this. we remember Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Yeah, she said it. She absolutely said it. I hope you could hear it. But it's everywhere, so you can actually find it and see it. So it was meant to be what it was. She exposed herself. She exposed that party. Everybody now knows what they are all about. Jesus is Lord. You in the wrong place. I would have given her a standing ovation. Thank you for letting me know I am not supposed to be here. This is not someplace where the Lord wants me. I'm getting out. Let's continue with Tyrus. Unbelievable.
This is a guy, I don't fly private jets. I fly every airport I go to all over the country. 4 years ago.
Are you able to use like one seat? Because you are
first class. First class, of course.
One
Yes,
seat.
one seat. Yeah,
Well, that means you have to stay wealthy.
well,
right?
or keep billing Fox. One or the other.
That's even better.
But yeah,
I like that even
yeah,
better.
outsource the bill. But again, when I think about the verbiage and the things that are said about you, even after, we don't even know how many assassination attempts there has been. But we know too, one of the things that I was.
Did you notice that? Tyrus says, we don't even know how many, assassination attempts there have been. Just 2. Trump doesn't even respond. So obviously there's been more. He can't say, but he just looked at him. Just a steeled look at the look on his face.
That in that moment, when you stood up and you yelled, fight, 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 again, that's where I'm seeing the Father. It wasn't about you. It was letting your family know you're okay, and you're more concerned about the people.
I could cut it now. Bingo. I remember when we were all here together on July 13th, which I will never forget the day. And I said, imagine yourself being Melania or Eric or Don Jr. And all you can see on television, because right then everything is blacked out. There are no communications. You're not going to be able to pick them up and call the cell phone. There was something interesting today. He did a interview on Fox and Friends. And something got said that probably wasn't supposed to be said, but Brian Kilmeade, being excited that Trump was on there, and he's like, I can't believe that we've had to change our mics and everything because you got all these jammers. And I went, you weren't supposed to say that. So everything gets jammed. You're not sending out signals, and you're not sending signals in to go make anything go boom. Everything gets jammed. So on July 13th, he's up there on the stage, poo-poo, he starts getting shot at. And at that point, none of his family members, even if there were some there, knew what was going on. We all looked at him and went, oh my God, is he okay? Get up. I remember saying, I looked at my video, get up, get up. Because that period of time, we had no idea. And we were in the same place as Barron and Melania. We're watching TV going, oh crap. And so when he got up and said, fight, 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 we all took it as a message to us because we knew what we had to do. But he was also telling his family, and Tyrus is exactly right. You had to let your family know, I'm okay.
But yet, I'm still waiting for the interview to talk to you about that. Why are we not sharing in that? That was a tremendous moment. I was in Oklahoma doing a stand-up show, and I thought I was going to cancel because I wasn't leaving the TV screen because I'm watching an assassination attempt on our president.
People were watching that. There's no question about it. That was a big deal.
But I went anyways to the show thinking no one would come, and they came. And instead of doing a stand-up show, I did a Q&A to talk about it. And there was a lot of veterans that were there that were talking about how much they support you and they believe in you, and that they were generally concerned. But they said they had no fear because when they saw you stand, you stood for them.
Bingo. That was a rallying call, not just to vote. Hey, man, they just tried to take this guy out on live television. They tried to explode his head so everybody could see we're taking him out. They really tried. And he said veterans, and I'm sure military, and I'm sure many of you all saw that and went, oh. And what has Trump said almost at every single rally? They really want you. I'm just in the way. So if you've heard that over and over, and you're like, yeah, they just, oh, they almost took out the thing that's in the way. What's behind the thing? Every one of us. So you have to continue that. You have to realize the objective is to take us out. And I don't mean necessarily, the same way, but the conformity of what they require to do what they want to do is in essence taking us out. The only thing that's going to stop that is A, to vote, and then to be ready after you vote. Because they're not just going to go, we lost. All right, let's see what we do in the next 4 years. Let's see who we got in the bullpen. Oh no, that's not going to happen. And even if the politicians did that, even if the politicians said, all right, so let's regroup and see what we got to do for the next game. We got, 2026. The idiots are getting their marching orders. If you haven't seen it, go find a video. I guess I could download it and show it to you of Kamala screaming and screaming and screaming. There is no political benefit to what she's saying. You got 2 weeks left. You're not going to change anybody's mind. She's incentivizing people to go nuts. Men, white and black, need to understand that.
Because veterans, our police,
right,
our first responders have been, forget the moral outrage of how they're treated.
They've been
the funding, stuff like that.
Sure.
And you have been doing some stuff with taxes.
Yeah.
Now, I did a little bit, and I'm not a mathematician,
right,
but I did a little bit.
Before he gets to that, the whole defund the police thing had nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with George Floyd. The whole defund the police thing was what they wanted so that things like Trace Leches taking over apartment complexes could happen much easier. Obviously, the cities where that's happening doesn't have the response time, the resources, or the manpower to actually take care of that before it happens. So that whole defund the police thing was basically a dry run to say, okay, where can we do this so that we can basically descend? My opinion, but I'm seeing it play out, and I want to make sure that it doesn't play out down my road here.
The checking. One of the things, one of the policies, like, would you consider thinking about for our veterans, for those who serve, for those of our police department, to where their taxation is the fact that they're giving their bodies to this country instead of having to pay taxes? None of these cities want to give them raises, so at least let them keep their money.
I've never heard that before, and it's like a very interesting thing. It's the kind of thing you would think of, right? Because they have been treated so terribly.
It's going to take more than a hug. We need to, and here's the deal. If you're looking at serving in this country, in the military, or a police officer, or a firefighter, and you're young and you're coming up, and you don't have to pay taxes because you're paying it's almost an incentive to where we can get people interested.
And other countries do that, as you know.
Yeah.
Other countries do that.
Of course they do.
In spades. It's something I would think about. It's something that nobody ever brought up. I've never heard it. It's interesting you're bringing it up. You're like my tax person there. But, something.
Get rid of it all. Just get rid of it all. You're going deep already with the cuts. Just get to the point where you turn Elon loose and just get rid of the whole damn thing.
I think has to be done.
Yes.
And we have to attract people.
I think you're the president to do it.
Well, the military is now not attracting people. They're not going in. And I think it's because they don't respect the people at the top, the commanding officer. I mean, they're not.
And that's not by accident either. How do we, let's see here. We need to make sure we're going to defund the police. We're going to weaken protection on the streets. How do we weaken protection of the nation? Well, we get less and less people to want to be in the military. How do we do that? well, let's do all this DEI stuff and make it so weird and make it so incompetent that real men won't want to join. They won't want to be subjected to that stuff.
Commander-in-Chief is not, I think you have to have, we were not having this problem 5 years ago. We have problems in the military right now. You know, the one thing I will say, though, and I tell the story, we really did a great job with our military. I rebuilt the military, right? And we got rid of ISIS. And I got to know them during this very short period of time. It was supposed to take 5 years. We did it in about a month. Remember that?
Yep.
And I got to know the real military, not these guys that are woke and that are like, you know, like, should I mention them? Yeah.
I think we get it with the woke.
No.
Yeah.
With
I'm knowing, trust
with
me.
Millie and his statements.
Yes.
And I mean, look, I guess Mattis is a nice guy, but we have people in there that are much different. Not the people on television, the people that got rid of ISIS quickly. I was told it was going to take 5 years, and we did it in a matter of literal weeks. And I said, this is a great military. And by the way, they're not woke. You could never make them woke. These are guys, you will never, ever make them woke. But they did a great job. Great job.
Now, you brought us Space Force.
Yeah.
And now partnering with Elon Musk and stuff, I think we're going to have some great things. But one of the things I've been very critical of this administration is that I think we need to have a school force. We need to make our schools hard targets. And there's no, again, looking for employment for our servicemen when they come out. Because I feel like what's happening in our schools isn't a police thing, it's a military thing. Because they are trained to look for these signs and stuff. If we had military...
See, everything he's talking about right now, and I'm not precluding women because there's some tough-ass women out there who wouldn't mind guarding schools. But what he's talking about, in essence, is men taking back your communities. Hey, we're done with this. Hey, let's get the law enforcement strengthened to the point where they don't have to pay taxes. Well, that would be a real opportune thing for me to apply if I wanted to be a law enforcement officer or a firefighter. Yeah, I'm not going to pay taxes. They'd get so many applications they wouldn't know what to do. And then you get the best of the best. You're not none of this DI crap. If you can climb the stairs and haul the hose and you can basically shoot correctly, yeah, you got a job. None of this DEI stuff. That's done. That's over with. Complete. That's the first, I don't know what his first executive order, but somewhere down that first 5 or 10 is crap that DEI stuff and make it go away. And so now Tyrus is talking about, hey, listen, why don't we protect our schools too? There's so many vets out there that would love a job, especially if it had no income tax associated with it. Yeah, no income tax and then no income tax on your Social Security, so you can be a retired vet. I'm sure there's a bunch of retired vets who would strap on the M16 and get out there and guard a school. I know it's unfortunate. We need to have people with guns at schools. Get over it. We have them in courthouses. I don't think a judge is worth more than a little kid. So if that's the reality of life right now until we get the nut jobs back into asylums, then how about we just go ahead and guard these schools? Let these kids go to school without having any fear. Let parents be okay with understanding, hey, listen, your kid's going to school. They're going to be okay. We got you. That's what I pay my taxes for. See, that's the reason why I signed a check for my real estate taxes, because now you're going to go to school, Jimmy, and you're going to be fine. Now eat your ham sandwich and get back to class. Everything outside that perimeter, we got you. Why is that a bad thing? Why does the Teachers Association freak out? Why? Because they want little minions running around who are, oh my God, I saw a gun today.
Not necessarily military, but they'll be coming over if we use social workers, military police, and we each...
So let me ask you this. So what about teachers that are in the military and they're teachers, they leave the military, they become history teachers, they become math teachers, and they're in the room and they get to know the students and they know how to use a gun. You can't have people that don't have any idea about what to do with guns.
I love how he's asking Tyrus for some input here. Not these idiots that have been in the administration who don't know what the hell they're talking about. He's asking a man, hey man, what would work? Let's get down and dig into this. I'm sure he would like to talk to other men. Hey, what do you guys think about this? Are there any vets out there that are teachers at this point?
But people that were in the military, that are in the classroom, and they have access to guns, whether it's on them or in a little safe or something. The problem is if it's in a safe, it takes a long time
Right.
to get it, right? So, but sometimes I think, and I've heard that and I've thought about it a lot, and in some ways I like that more than just having police standing someplace in the building. Mm-hmm. Do you like that idea? It would be a...
Okay, so imagine that question from the President of the United States, or former president, future president, Donald Trump, sitting down with you, and right now he just asked you that question. Put yourself in that chair where Big Tyrus is sitting, and he goes, "Hey, you like that idea? So, you guys like that idea? You like the idea of securing schools and not being afraid that, little Jimmy might happen to see a weapon? When in reality, what you should have done is shown little Jimmy how to use a weapon at 12 or 13 anyway." You ever notice that the whack jobs that are doing this crazy stuff have all been exposed to weapons, and the poor kids in the schools are the ones who haven't been exposed to the weapons, when it should be the other way around? I know my wife's up in North Carolina right now, and I'm telling you right now, not one, not two, everybody in her family, including the females, including the aunts who are widows or whatever, they got pew-pews all over the place. I mean, literally, in every room of the house, there's a pew-pew. Why? Because they learned at a very early age how to use one, how to protect themselves. Libs don't do that. They raise victims. They now say toxic masculinity. Oh my Lord, toxic masculinity. Oh, little Jimmy, run if you see that. No, there's people up there now. Hey, listen, okay, let me get your hair cut. You're going to learn how to drive, and now we got to go out in the woods. Let me show you what to do if something happens. But they don't like that. In fact, they hate that.
Small percentage of the teachers, like 5%, but that would be much more than you would ever have with...
Anything is better than nothing. Our banks are safer than our schools, and our greatest investment are our kids.
Yeah.
So I have an issue with that. And here's the deal. I've learned a lot about this administration trying to get things done and talking to people. I speak with a lot of mayors and a lot of my travels and stuff. And this administration was supposed to be all about the environment and the Green New Deal and all that crap. But it's amazing. So
You notice how that stopped? I'm in the middle of a campaign, hopefully the end of a campaign, and it's going to be successful. But we're in a campaign. Nobody ever talks about the environment. They don't talk about it. They want clean air. They want clean water. This Green New scam is the worst thing that's ever happened. They're destroying the windmills all over the place. You fly over these gorgeous areas, you have windmills going all over.
You're not going to have any birds around, and the ones in the ocean are messing up the whales. Windmills were great back when we all had buggy whips, carts.
Yeah, they were much nicer then. Actually, they were actually much nicer. No, when you think of what they've done, though, with all of the money that they spent, trillions and trillions of dollars. China does nothing, by the way, just so you understand.
No, China, India, absolutely
no, they don't do anything. And by the way, that flies right over our country. You do understand.
Yeah.
Those winds, 4.5 days, it's over. So here we are. It costs us twice to make a product, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And we're trying to keep everything nice and clean. But the wind's flying in from China, India, and every place else. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, one of the things the EP, one of the things that because living in Louisiana, we have a horrible problem with sewage and water overfills and things like that. And the budget for these mayors have this budget for the sewage. But yet nothing's ever done, right? These engineers and their plans are based off how much money they get opposed to solving the problem.
Exactly. Nothing is supposed to get done. See, the whole idea is to keep getting budget money so you can reallocate it in other places and still, have this ongoing problem that really never gets solved because they don't want it solved.
So Mike Rowe told me about a company.
Good guy.
Oh, yeah. Mike, let me put my glasses on. I want to get this right.
I can't believe you wear glasses. Huh?
50. Sewage Century, right? Brad Colbert, I believe you knew his father on the Texas Rangers.
Yep.
So they came up with this little tiny invention. It's like this, like a mushroom, a little ball in it. And when you put it in the manholes, it separates the gas, and the little ball comes up, and the water can't come out the manhole. So the sewage water doesn't spill into overflows. It costs $0.25. You don't need a committee for it. You just put them in. I think one city was like $250,000 opposed to the $20 million they spent, and it pays for itself in a year, and it's done. So here I am in Louisiana. I go, oh, this is great, and Oh, we have to form a committee. We have to do this.
Well, you have
Here,
a great
this,
new
this.
governor in Louisiana. I bet he'd take a look at it because your new governor, a
No.
Republican,
Yeah.
is he was the attorney general. Now he's a governor. So if you give me that, I'll send it to him. Okay.
Thank you.
I love that. Let's solve a problem. You have an audience, and I love these kind of interviews, not the same crap they do on Fox and Friends. They're actually talking about issues that need problems that need solutions. And what's he say? Yeah, give me the information. I'll see what I can do with it. This is the media. We are the media. These are the type of questions a news reporter should be asking Trump. And Tyrus, big burly guy on the 5 and he does a thing with Greg Gutfeld and stuff like that. He's the one asking questions a reporter should, because we are now the media. Hey, listen, I found this out. Here's what I thought. What do you think about this, Mr. President? Well, okay, I haven't heard that. Sounds great. Let's go ahead and dig in further. Might be a good idea. But like Tyrus said, the Democrat way is, hey, let's form a committee and let's put it on the agenda for like January, and then we'll make sure we got something in the budget for, next October. What? It's a problem right now. Solve it. Men need to solve the problems.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Why is that something? I mean, it's a big problem, and
It's a problem everywhere. our drinking water, the fluoride in it, we're seeing, and then now we're seeing sewage.
And wait till you see what RFK Jr. does.
And it's a lot of
that
autoimmune
is not-
diseases are happening with our
If you
kids.
give me, I will send it, and I'll bet you get action.
I moved. One, because my daughter's an equestrian now and I had to move to New Jersey. But we eventually had to move because not only that, what we're seeing with the hurricane storms, the insurance companies jacking it up. Now, I'm blessed to make a good living, but I'm not paying $300,000 a year in house taxes. So I made
Insurance is one of the biggest increases, and it's happened in the last 4 years.
Tell me about it. I live in South Florida.
People are going crazy with the insurance costs. And I say, what about self-insurance? Sometimes people are better off with self-insurance. They can't afford the insurance. And then the problem is, when you need the insurance, they don't want to pay. And they negotiate, right? They say, we're not going to pay you. And you end up getting 5 cents on the dollar. It's a problem. Yeah. It's a real problem.
And, I know you have a million things to do, but father to grandfather, I would like to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Father to grandfather. That relationship that Tyrus is talking about, as simple as it is as a conversation he's having, and I hope there's a lot of black men watching and a lot of black men who may watch this, because many of us didn't have that ability. You see, my grandfather passed when I was 7 years old. And I would have loved to have been able to have that conversation with him. A conversation I couldn't have with my dad, or maybe my dad was busy. And I'm thinking these days, how many black men who were born out of wedlock don't even have a father, never mind a grandfather? I mean, it's just not there. And it was all promulgated because of the Democrat Party. That's what they wanted. And now they're seeing a shift where a lot of black men are staying home and going, no, that's my son. I need to be here for my daughter, of course, but my son. I need to raise him to be a better man, not run the street and be a rapper. And I love that Tyrus looked in the president's eyes. Not like you'd ever hear from any other reporter and said, can I talk to you like a grandfather?
I made a mistake with my child, my daughter, when she wanted to get an equestrian. I was supposed to tell her she was allergic. I didn't do that to horses because it's expensive. It's unbelievable. And you guys talked a lot about it. Now, my daughter's now going to Wilmington, Florida to compete. Okay. And I had to move the horses down there.
So she's very good, right?
Very good. Like I'm in.
That's
I'm in.
Good.
Yeah. After this is over, I'll be sweeping this place up.
Good.
Every extra dollar.
Good.
But your granddaughters and your family, did they ride horses as well? Did they do equestrian?
Not too much. They like it. They do it maybe a little bit, but not like your daughter. No, your daughter's supposed to be very, like you, a talented athlete, right?
Yeah.
You can see it. Now I've heard that.
Yeah, my son plays baseball at the travel league. So I'm the GM. The way I look at it, if you're the first one in, last one to leave, daddy invests. Right. I just forgot to put a salary cap.
The
little cheaper.
I'm sorry. He just made a concept that is just bizarre for, most black men. I'm here to be the GM of my family, and I'm supposed to invest. That's all new to me as well. And having Ashley and now having these grandkids and going, hey, you know what? We got to make an investment here. We've lived our lives. We're on the downside. We're on the after side. So everything we're doing now is to say, hey, those three need to make sure that the path is clear, and that that mom has given them the right direction, and that dad is the disciplinarian, although Ashley might be the disciplinarian, and guiding them faithfully under God. And those are the GM, and I'm just like the GM emeritus to basically help out when it's needed.
A little bit less.
It never ends, though. It
No,
never
but
ends.
it never ends.
No. But we're going to be in Wilmington. How far is Wilmington from Mar-a-Lago?
So Wilmington is about 20 minutes away.
Wellington.
Can I get a group rate?
Yes, you're going to come over. We're going to have dinner with your daughter and your family, your wife. We're going to come over and have dinner. But do you mean Wellington or Wilmington?
Wilmington. I say it wrong because I just paid to have the horses
Right.
He meant Wellington. There's no Wilmington here in South Florida.
moved, so it's a little traumatic for
Yeah,
me.
it could be. But it's either one's about, 20, 25 minutes to come over. I'd love to have you on.
Thank you, sir.
No, but you're a terrific guy. Look, it's that show has caught on.
You realize as you're watching this, it is like a father and a grandfather, father and a father, actually sitting there just having a chat. You don't see these kind of speeches, talks.
And the whole group is great. But I've always watched you. You always were defending me. And a lot of people don't defend me. And I like people that defend me because I think I'm doing the right thing. And we have a lot of bad people in our country, We have a lot of people that you almost say they must hate our country because what they do is so bad for our country. But I just have always...
Well, I'm not allergic to straight talk.
Yeah.
And every man of
Wait.
consequence that I learned from in my life never bullshitted nothing with me.
Mm-hmm.
Every man of consequence that I ever learned from never BS'd me. Every man of... This isn't normal interview stuff.
Whether it was Dusty Rhodes, whether it was my football coaches, whether it was anybody I was with, they always told it to me straight, even when I didn't like what I wanted to hear. Because I always believed everybody can handle bad news and good news, but no news and bullshit don't piss down my back, as my grandmother used to say, and tell me it's rain. And that's one thing that you have never done. You always, if you don't want to hear it, because the American people can accept bad news. Because when we know how bad it is, then we can look forward to getting it better. And that
encapsulates everything that's happening with Kamala at this point. You're seeing a younger guy, he's 50, but he's talking to Donald Trump, and he's like, give it to me straight. I may not like what you have to say. I may be repulsed by what you have to say. Orange man bad, but I know the position you're in. I understand your life experience. There are some things you can impart upon me to help me live my life better. And the left doesn't want that.
in this age of endorsements.
Yeah.
That's why you have my endorsement, Mr. President. You can take that, a cup of coffee, and do whatever you want with it.
It means a lot to me. It does.
But,
I think this is going to be the most important election in the history of our country.
I agree.
Because our country is going bad. I hate to say, I wouldn't do this with just politics. Our country is going bad. The things we do. I mean, men playing in women's sports, okay?
Absolutely not.
It's crazy. And let's not say it's the most important, but it's just crazy, the whole concept. Having no borders, having elections where you're not allowed to ask somebody whether or not they happen to live in the country. Just anybody can walk in.
Yeah.
It's really wacky, and we're going to get it changed, Cyrus.
I believe that. Well, now, I have to ask this because you love sports as almost as I do, especially boxing.
Yeah, I do. I love.
And
I love it.
do you?
Let me just ask you a question. When's the last time you've heard NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, even Fox talk to the President of the United States, former, whatever you want to say, and start talking about boxing? Because that's something men talk about. I'm not a big boxing fan. I like MMA. Of course, I like football. but you don't hear them talk about stuff that men want to talk about. And so you're about to hear about 2 minutes of them talking about stuff that men, if they were in a barber shop, would actually be talking about.
Miss not being able to do all that stuff because, like, WrestleMania 4 and 5, part of my childhood, inspired me to end up becoming a wrestler. I thank you, Gutfeld, for that.
I did that. I'm in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yes, you are.
And Dana is a good friend of mine with UFC. What a job he's done, right? Dana White is incredible. He's like an incredible guy. And, I was always involved. And I remember in those days, Hulk is a great guy, you have to say. Yeah. He was great. Right?
And when he ripped his shirt off, and now listen, I was Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff guy, but I got it. But I think that was a great moment. And so you're very quick, and you can talk trash with the best of them. Yeah. Who was the biggest influence? Was it Don King or Muhammad Ali? Because your style is like ours. Like when you comes to talking trash, and I know you hung out with those guys. I know I did the search. I know that you have been. It's hilarious after reading and the stuff I've saw, and I just saw a little bit. It's hard to find, but you have been a regular guy you never cared what color somebody was or who they slept with. All you cared was the content of their character and if they could do the damn job or not.
They were both friends of mine. Now Don King is still alive. You know, he's 92 years old. Yeah. He lives in Florida. He's a great guy. He endorsed me. Very strongly into it. He said, you got to vote for Trump. And I probably spoke to him a week ago, maybe. And he was great. Very different guys. But there's nobody. Don King, each incredible. Don King, nobody like that. And Muhammad Ali, nobody like that. These were two unique people. You know, Don King was a tough cookie, too. He beat the hell out of people. Unfortunately, it cost him a lot.
Yeah.
But he was a tough guy. But he's a big supporter. Muhammad Ali was actually a friend of mine. I knew him pretty well.
All right, raise your hand. Did you know that? Did you know that Muhammad Ali and Donald Trump were friends? You know, Muhammad Ali, the former Cassius Clay, who became a Muslim, was good friends with Donald Trump. No, you probably don't know that because you're not supposed to know that.
He was amazing, actually. He was amazing. And you know, you look at some of the fights. Sonny Liston had no chance of being beaten, and he got beaten badly twice.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you look at George Foreman, another really good guy, but he just had George Foreman.
George Foreman at that time was bulletproof.
Bulletproof. Remember when he fought three guys and knocked him out?
I was a little young, but I remember the
He fought three guys one night, and but the third guy, and Muhammad Ali was watching, the third guy, he was getting a little tired. You know,
what's your favorite? What was your favorite all-time big prize fight that you were at?
Well, believe it or not, I was at Madison Square Garden. I think it was Ali Frazier won.
Oh, so you were there. That's, in my opinion, the most historic fight of all time.
So I was there as a young guy, very young guy, and I remember there were many heart attacks. Can you believe it? They had heart attacks. Men. I heard. I don't even want to say it because it sounds ridiculous, but there were a lot of heart attacks. It was the craziest evening. Two undefeated, legendary fighters. They were both undefeated, and it was brutal. And that was the days of the 15-round fight.
When they had to fight.
And I can't say it because look, I'm not in the ring, but those fights were better. Those extra 3 rounds.
Well, that was the championship rounds. They say 11 and 12.
They were the championships rounds.
Now, how are you dressed for that? Because it was the 70s, and it was wild. Crazy. Now, you've always been never been a big fan, but was it just the suit or did you
I'm sorry. I saw somebody get mad because I interject, but it is a reaction video. And it just cracks me up that they're talking about the boxing and Tyrus goes, what did you wear? Because everyone used to just look their best going to a boxing match. It was like a fashion show. The women would be completely dressed up. The men would come out looking like Superfly pimp daddies. And he's asking Trump, what did you wear? And of course, I would think before he answers the question, he probably just had a suit on, but let's see.
Yeah, I think it was just pretty normal. But I was a very young guy.
Yeah.
But in terms of an event, I think that was maybe the greatest event.
That was the first Super Bowl.
But now you have Dana White has done such a great job with the UFC. I don't know, the boxing, unless something happens, the boxing doesn't look the same as it did.
Fighting over in Saudi Arabia is not the same thing with all due respect.
No, but it's he's done a great job with the UFC. Would you ever do the UFC stuff?
Watch it? Yeah.
No, from years ago.
Oh, years ago? Yeah, if it was available.
Can you take the shots to the face? Because a lot of
Well, I'm not going to hit in the face. I had one shot.
You
Most of my
got-
fights were over in about 5 or 6
Well,
seconds.
that's-
The weird thing would be fighting one guy. Usually I had to fight 3 or 4 in clubs. So, but those days are behind me.
I asked Dan Gable, so he was probably the greatest wrestler of that type, right? And he was fantastic. I said, would you have done well in the UFC if they had it then? And he said, no, because I would never let people hit me in the face. It's a whole different culture, frankly. When you can get in the face.
wrestling background, I think,
Yeah.
is
It was a lot of
I think Kurt Angle would have been tremendous had he
probably,
not broke his neck and stuff. But I know you. I could keep you here forever, and I'm getting the circles and the doo-wops. And Mr. President, thank you.
I would only do this one for you. You don't know what's going on.
Don't boot this guy, Mods. Robin Bird is kidding. He's letting you know it's a joke.
I'm the keynote speaker
Yes.
at the biggest dinner in New York probably of the year. And I had a choice. I was going to walk in and say, could you do me a favor? Could I do this interview tomorrow or maybe next week? And I said, I'm not doing it to Tyrus. And I got people over at the big hotel, and that room is packed, and everybody's wearing white tie, not black tie. I don't like wearing white tie, but it's white tie. And it's waiting for me. And I said, you know what? I got to do it with Tyrus because I respect him. Tyrus has always, I tell you people, he's always stuck up for me when maybe it wasn't the thing to do, and he's always there. So I'm here for you, and I'm a little late, but that's okay.
I would have waited till tomorrow, sir, but I'm glad you did it today.
Thank you, man.
Thank
Special
you.
guy.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So, did you learn something from that? I hope you did. You got to hear Trump I doubt you've heard that kind of interview from him anytime lately. All they want to do, and some people say, why do you tune into the rallies? Because the rallies, as I've mentioned many times, he's getting his policy points down, and he's letting people know what he wants to do as president. And I think he should have done a lot more of these to let people know what kind of man he was. He let the media define him. And the reason why they were able to do that was because he was humble. His personality was basically his Achilles. I don't want to tell people what I've done. I don't want to brag. I don't want to do all that stuff. The people who I've helped in my life and the things I've done for other people, that's not something I want to broadcast. He could have jumped up at any time. Hey, listen, you guys call me racist. You guys know that I paid for Jennifer Hudson's hotel? Hey, do you know I did this? I did this. And did you know I flew Nelson Mandela out of Africa with a 727 out of my own pocket? No. The media wanted to basically frame him, and they did, and he took it. Just like the bullet to the head, he took it. I'm not going to expose all of these people that I helped. That's a man. That's a man who's like, I'll take the arrows, and I'm not going to basically let all these people know who I've helped over my 78 years, or however his adult age is, for the last 50 years. And it's not important. It's not germane to what I'm doing. I'm running for president. I'm not going to tell you the personal stuff that I've done in my life. I mean, you guys can take the bad stuff. Go ahead and talk about the porn stars and this and everything that grab them by the you-know-what and all that stuff. But not one of those stories ever came out. It's like nothing. They wanted to paint him a certain way. And nobody has... That was the first time I've seen an interview where they actually talked about Donald Trump, the man. Even Dan Bongino's interview this morning. It was a good interview, but it was talking about Secret Service, and it was talking about what's going on with the shadow government, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't until the end of Dan Bongino's interview today that it was just awesome. He had to leave. And when he had to leave, Dan was like, wait 1 second. I'm doing a benefit on election night for Samaritan's Purse, and I want to auction off a baseball. Would you be willing to sign it? And Trump was like, sure. And I'm like, that's the highlight. That's the kind of guy he is. I know you're going to auction this off. I know it's going to raise money, and I know I can help. Even though I gave $25 million already to Samaritan's Purse, let me help you out as well. And I looked at that and I'm like, it just in passing. Hey, would you sign this on your way out the door so I can, help people? I want to help people. Here, let me sign this. When he shows up at hospitals and he does, none of that stuff ever gets in the news. That's why you should just go ahead and turn it off. So how does this affect men? Well, more men are starting to hear about this and more men are starting to see this, and especially the black men. And the black men, well, they're not liking at all what Kamala is dishing out. And so they're looking to change.
Barack. As a native of Chicago that watched your policies not do a single thing for black people, not anything for crime, not anything for a better way of living, it is insulting that you decided to get up here and pander us as black men for not voting for Kamala Harris. You are only voting for Kamala yourself because you have no choice. We both know that deep down inside, you wanted the open convention, but the optics didn't look good. We also both know that there were way better candidates that you guys could have went with for president, but you guys didn't. And so now they bring you out, the big guns, because they need you to come up here and clean up this mess. Because you know what? You are a well-spoken man. Because I can tell you right now that your nominee is not. I can tell you that your nominee doesn't answer questions. Your nominee stutters all the time, and she spits out word salads. And you expect for us to vote for her. I'm black. I'm not stupid. I vote for policies. I vote for what's going to allow for my way of living to change. I vote so that everyone can have a chance and continue to be a free thinker and not have censorship. And then you got up here on this stage and insulted every black man in America.
He did. In fact, I feel at this point that Obama sealed Kamala's fate. When history books look at this and they see what Trump's going to do in this next 20 days and how he's going to win, people are going to realize it was Obama. It was Obama who caused what's about to happen. Because it may have been close, but when he did that to the black men and said, you got to vote for her because you're misogynist and you need to vote because she's a black woman, that's when a lot of people realized this wasn't, we're not in Kansas anymore, bro. You ain't going to tell me that. You're not going to ram this down my throat. And you pissed off a lot of people who are a little bit too prominent.
And it's not okay. And so now you guys are sitting here and you want us to vote for this administration, who has caused the highest inflation, grocery prices suck, and they let everybody in the border. And if I remember Barack Obama, you were the deporter in chief.
You see, black men aren't supposed to care about that. You got your EBT card. What are you worried about? You got your bus pass in the hood. You're still fine. You can go to the grocery store. We've increased the amount that we put on that EBT card, and you got your bus pass. You can get to where you want to get to, but you didn't realize when you were president, a lot of black men realized that they could do some different things. Hey, listen, there's a president. He's black. Maybe I can aspire to be something. And so people started getting jobs and going to school and doing things, and now you're trying to put them back. Get back on that bus. Get back on the back of the bus. You're not supposed to worry about that. I got your EBT card right here. I can feed you. Daddy government, here's some more free this and free that. Not realizing that ideology has shifted. I'm looking at this guy's face. He looks to be about, let's say 35-ish maybe a little bit younger. So all that old school government take care of you stuff ain't working anymore. Not at all.
You deported over 3 million people. And for your nominee to not even be smart enough that when someone asks her a question, what would she do differently than what Joe Biden did, and her to say nothing is even more wild.
Yeah.
So before you decide to get up here and attack every single black man on this planet, I want you to take a self-reflection and think about the behaviors that you're doing and that you're trying to put on us because we don't want to vote for Kamala.
Now I want you to look. This guy is well kept. His shave is better actually than mine. He's driving what looks to be somewhat of a luxury car. He's got a leather headrest. That's about what I can see when I look at here. And he doesn't look like he's hurting. And you're telling him you need to go vote for Kamala Harris because you're afraid because she's a woman and because, you know, that white orange man is bad. He's going to put you back on the reservation, going to put you up in chains. And if you ain't voting for Kamala, you ain't black. No, I look at every day in the mirror. When I scrub out of bed and scratch my head, I look in the mirror. I'm like, yeah, you're black.
I want you to really look down deep inside of yourself and say, would you really vote for her if you wasn't a part of the Democratic Party? If it wasn't your job, would you really vote for her? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't. Because the scrutiny that you went through to become president, she hasn't even went through. No one voted for her. At all. You guys inserted her. And so now here you come, being the sweeper in chief, to try to clean up the mess. But I got a surprise for you, Barack. We are going to continue to be free thinkers. We're going to continue to fight people who want to censor us. We're going to continue to be the people that we need to be because we are starting to arise. Because I don't like the word woke. We are starting to arise to the occasion so that we can create a better America where Democrats and conservatives and independents can live freely and prosperous. And you're right, we do need to turn the page because the book that I'm reading right now, if I turn the page based on what Kamala said about her own self, I would be signing up to read the book a little bit longer for 4 more years. And that's not what I want to do.
I think it's...
You know what's funny? For decades, you've been telling the black family, the black man, we shall overcome. You know, we're going to get there. And then many of us have gotten there, and you're like, wait, we didn't mean it that way. Y'all need to go back, okay? We didn't realize once you overcome, you realize you're overcoming the Democrat Party. That is the problem. Hey, well, the white man was oppressing you. You need to understand. You need to rise up and understand you're being held back, and now you're not being held back. You own a business. You got a good job, and I've overcome. I don't see any of the shit you keep peddling. Oh, then you need to go back. Go back on that bus because we don't want you overcome. See, that's where they made the mistake. You told people that they were being oppressed. You got them in college. You got them to understand, hey, you do these things to make your life better. Stay married, become a family. All the things that the people found out as they were going to church and growing up. And now all of a sudden, many of us have indeed overcome. And now you're mad because we have overcome. Ain't that a mind screw? Think about that. For decades, you've told black people, especially black men, that other people are holding you back. And then when black people, start realizing they are no longer held back, you want to put them back. They ruined it. Obama, you had a lot to do with it.
Touch and go right now. I see shades of the Hillary Clinton campaign with the arrogance of a Democratic Party out of touch with the electorate.
At the end of the day, I'm Trump because I my eyes open. I can see that he was doing a lot better than what we're going through right now.
You can't deny that. That's one of the biggest problems that she has is that men like this who worked in this barbershop, I don't know if he owns it or not, but he's like, it's pretty simple. I got to make life decisions on whether to buy potato chips or milk.
Can't even go to the grocery stores right now without making a life decision on what you want to get. You know, you got to compromise. We don't have to go through that 4 years ago.
You know, just being able to just live on a day-to-day basis, it has become a little harder at this point in time.
I understand what he's saying right there. These are men who have overcome. I run a business. And now you're telling me that's not good enough. You need to vote for this woman who really doesn't want my business to thrive. And she's dumped all these newcomers in, and it's crazy. So Trump understands this. When I decided to do this video today and talk to men, there were a couple of things. Many of us grew up, even though, I told you had learned how to shave myself, but when I was a little knucklehead, my dad used to take me to the barbershop. Those men in here who were taken by their dads to the barbershop are going to understand what happens next, and I don't even have to say anything. In fact, I'm going to get off screen. Because as a man, Trump walked into that bastion of manhood. And he happened to walk into that bastion of black manhood where not a whole lot of words need to be said at this point. All he had to do was show up here, and the message was clear. Absolutely clear.
Yours isn't bad. Nice to see you all. Welcome. It's always a pleasure. How good are the barbers here? Excellent. Very, I can see they're good. They look good. Nice soft flow. What's that all about? That's all the back. Is it something? The back. Nice to see you all. Big hands. Nice to see you.
When Kamala saw this and her team saw this, they must have realized right then, we're screwed.
My son is the owner. He yelled his father.
Oh, you did that.
My son is right there. My son is learning the business.
Very nice and easy, huh? Is he as good as you?
He's great.
He's better. Nice to see you. Thank you very much.
The father introduced the son to Donald Trump. Ooh, this is bad.
Live from CTA.
All right, so in case you guys don't know, I told you a lot of prominent people are seeing the problem. Well, one of those prominent people, everyone knows him as kind of a whack job, and that is Antonio Brown, who formerly played in the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he was known as a little bit of a freewheeler, but he's got millions of followers. And he somehow decided he was going to be a Trump advocate. And tomorrow's rally in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, he's actually going to be there. Tonight we're in Detroit, so you guys aren't going to miss Detroit. I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to quickly throw something in my face, and we're going to get ready for the 6:30 rally or 7 o'clock rally in Detroit. But tomorrow we're in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and then Sunday Trump is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers football game with Antonio Brown as a registration drive. So here's Antonio Brown talking about what people need to do.
Yeah, yo, Pennsylvania. I'm here to encourage you guys to order your ballots early. That's right. All Trump supporters, I need you to order your ballot early and come vote. That's right. We'll be at the stadium this Sunday taking live votes at the tailgate. Let's go. PA, it's going to be a tight election. We need you guys. All Trump supporters, let's not wait to the end. Let's get our votes in early.
And so Kamala's people, and she's on stage. Well, Trump's not doing any interviews, and he must, there must be something wrong with his head or something, and there's something wrong here. But meanwhile, Antonio Brown from the Pittsburgh Steelers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with his millions of followers, he's actually influencing people to get out here and vote for Trump. You pissed off the wrong demographic, Kamala and Obama, and now you got to pay for it. So let's continue here.
I've had something on my mind that I've been holding in for the last few days or so, and I'm not going to hold it in anymore. Speaking to a forum of black men in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Obama spoke directly to all men who may be considering not voting or voting for Donald Trump in this election cycle. Before I go any further, I want you to hear exactly what this man had to say.
So many of you know Stephen A. Smith as what I call him, the clown prince of ESPN. And he got pissed. And you're going to hear, he got really pissed that Obama had the cojones to walk out there and tell these guys, hey man, you ain't black if you ain't voting for Kamala Harris. You need to get over yourselves and vote for her. And even Stephen A. Smith, with his millions and gazillions of followers and his television shows right now in the heat of football season, said, nah, man, nah.
I've got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling.
Heard what he said, didn't you? I'm speaking to men specifically. So Barack knows at this point, oh, it's the men that are causing the problem here. You got these men here who ain't having it anymore. Kamala, now I ain't voting for her. So now you're going to come out here and chastise black men.
The idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you?
At this point, it's not working, Barack. They know you're lying.
Because you think that's a sign of strength? Because that's what being a man is? Putting women down?
See, there you stepped in it, Barack. You're trying to tell men what men should be like, when all you've done is try to keep people in the hood. You don't want men embracing women and their children. And now you're chastising men? I mean, I showed this video before, but under this perspective, understand he's telling black men, step in line, when all along you've done nothing but promote black men being out of line. And the only reason you're talking to him, like the guy before said, was because you need to vote. You don't give a crap about these people's lives. And now you've got the audacity to go tell them they need to vote for her?
That's not acceptable.
He about to bring it.
Respectfully, President Obama, what you said is not acceptable. I'm going to say it again. Respectfully, what you said is not acceptable.
Did you see his face? It's not acceptable.
Not to me, not to a host of black men out there who's not even thinking about voting for Donald Trump. What you said is unacceptable. I'll tell you why in a minute. But before I do that, I want to go to Khalil Thompson, co-founder and executive director of Win with Black Men, who responded to criticism of Obama's comments. Take a look at what he had to say here. Quote, I believe President Obama is speaking to a tangible, visceral understanding of what it means for all men to relate to women in America. Calling out misogyny is not wrong. End quote. To co-founder Khalil Thompson, you're wrong too.
Oh.
And what you said is unacceptable. You see, what you're missing is that you're basically accusing black men who come up with a reason to not support Kamala Harris as engaging in misogyny. Whatever happened to disagreeing without being disagreeable, President Obama? What happened to that? All of a sudden, we want to challenge men and our love and our affection as black men for black women. We want to bring that into question because we've got an election coming up and people may have the temerity to think differently than you.
Understand, for years, decades, they have promoted the basic fracture of the black family. You're supposed to, it's okay to sleep around and have as many baby daddies as you want, baby mamas. It's all right. Go ahead and disrespect all these women. You know, the H's and B's. You can watch any rap video, you can see them, you know what I mean? Hell yeah, yeah. And now you're mad because black men are like, well, she ain't it. And now you want to call black men misogynists? When every rap video for the last 20 years has been about my B's and H's and what I'm going to do and limited. And now? It's so incredulous. It's amazing that even Stephen A. Smith can see this right now.
It's because she's a woman that she's in danger of losing this election? Didn't Hillary Clinton win the popular vote in 2016? Didn't she get over 2.8 million more votes than Donald Trump in the popular vote for the 2016 election? Last time I checked, she's a woman. Are we there sitting here and implying that black men would be more apropos to support a white woman than a black woman? Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're saying? It's a rhetorical question because it makes no sense to me. Before I go even further, let's hear more from Mr. Khalil Thompson himself. Quote, "We're not a monolith. However, we are just like every other American in this country who wants a good paying job that we can provide for our children and participate in their lives and the lives of our partner, that we can get them home safely, afford to go to the grocery store, save a little for retirement, and have a vacation." There is absolutely nothing wrong with that explanation, Khalil Thompson. Why didn't you say that from the jump? But let's get back to the part about black men. That's what we're going to talk about right now. That's what we're going to talk about. We want to bring up Trump in the 70s and rent control and all and denying rent to black folks. We don't want to bring up Biden and how he got along with segregationists in the 70s. We don't want to bring up how Kamala Harris, then a presidential candidate in 2020, called him out for his support of segregationists when it came to busing. We want to ignore that. You don't think black people heard that?
Yes. Yes, they did. But now you're supposed to forget all that. It didn't happen. That's a Democrat playbook. Oh, you just forget. That's old. That's in the past.
You don't think there's some trepidation in the hearts and the minds of black people from time to time? At least from the past? Mm-hmm. Not even talking about what he's done during this administration, which some people will believe his policies and his heart have been in the right place in some of their eyes. You're President Obama. How do you ignore that? Inflation, the cost of living, the price of gas, the price of groceries. That don't matter? Folks ain't paying attention to that? Immigration and our borders. And this belief that there's an elevated level of sensitivity towards them as opposed to black folks struggling, if not starving in this country. Yes, that plays a role too. I brought it up right here on this show. When the mayor of New York was talking about $53 million in prepaid credit cards for immigrants who came across our borders illegally and having prepaid credit cards for them. And I said, wait a minute, black folks been starving for years. We ain't get that. You don't think they notice? You don't think they notice? Is it possible that the only reason some black folks, not me, but some black folk.
Why not you? See, if I was talking to Stephen A. Smith, I'm like, you just laid out a whole bunch of reasons. Why not you? Well, personally, I believe Stephen A. is going to vote for Donald Trump. He can say everything he wants, but this amount of passion for the BS that they're doing right now, I think when he gets behind, the curtain, he may do something else. He may be just saying what he's saying right now about, oh, not me. I know it's some other black men. I'm good. I'm going to vote for Kamala. That ain't going to change. Yeah, right.
May not be inclined to vote, or they may be a bit disenchanted, or dare I say may even be willing to go as far as voting for Trump. Is it possible that it's policy as opposed to misogyny? Is it possible that they've looked at a Democratic Party that is locked in on addressing or not addressing immigration and folks crossing the borders illegally, and have prioritized focusing on that?
Bingo.
Along with other issues, identity politics and beyond, that has become such a focal point that has turned off folks.
How could the Democrats be so stupid? I'm glad they are, but you basically not only did it turn off black men and Hispanic men, but it also, at this point, has opened their eyes to, the light. I don't want this stuff anymore. I want to raise my family. Notice the guy who was sticking up for what Obama said, that when he showed the quote, the guy said in the quote, I want to be able to take care of my family and my children. So, of course, other black men, Hispanic men, and of course, upstanding white men are thinking, yeah, I want to take care of my family and my kids. And you don't care. You want to just help these newcomers. Okay.
In the African American community, some, not most, not all, just some. Is that possible? Is it possible that black folks, particularly black men, more so than the black women, who you look at Roe v. Wade and the women's rights and what have you, and Trump's position, they're like, he's got no chance in hell of luring them in. But is it possible that when it comes to the men are saying, wait a minute, get all that, but what you gonna do for us? Could it be the issues as opposed to just misogyny?
Bingo.
As a black man who is an independent, you are an incredible role model.
I didn't realize that he was an independent. That's the first time I think I can recall Stephen A. not saying he was a Democrat, and now he's an independent, which means he's a fence rider. He says he's going to vote for Kamala Harris because that's what he has to say, but he's an independent.
And somebody that I have admired for years. But to say that to black men, to attribute their hesitancy, their reluctance, their reticence to support Kamala Harris, to you just don't want to support a woman, really? Respectfully, sir, that's messed up. That's a messed up thing to accuse black men of, when you know good and damn well there are a plethora of reasons for us to point to than that to justify our apprehension.
Stephen A. Smith, Antonio Brown, Tyrus, and many others have had it. All are black men, and I don't mean to offend anyone here who's white or you know, like I know one of the guys always says it's not about color. This issue is. This is about a group, a demographic who the Democrats have always counted on blindly. They're just sheep. The black vote, man and woman, are just supposed to vote for the Democrats. And now Obama himself has pissed off a whole swath of black people by telling them what you think isn't important. The only thing you need to do is make sure you vote for her. And I'm sick of you guys up here about your misogyny. For Stephen A. Smith, like him or hate him, he has a monstrous audience. And I do mean monstrous audience. Comprised of many, many, many people in the sports world. Athletes and fans. Many of whom are black. For him to come out and absolutely destroy Barack Obama means he knows that message was wrong. He knows at this point she's in big trouble. I'm beyond trouble. I'm saying it's over. It is time for black, Hispanic, and white men to put on the armor of God and protect your families and protect this country. At this point, we, the men out here, must be prepared for November 6th. We must be prepared for what is coming our way. You need to maybe make sure that the Tres Leches idiots aren't coming to your neighborhood. And if they do, are you and your neighbors prepared to protect the women and children that would be put at risk? Are you prepared if the lights go off and like it's going on in Cuba right now, where half the country's got no electricity for some reason? Are you prepared to look in your wife or your child's eyes and go, yeah, we ain't got any food tonight? Why? I wasn't prepared. I didn't understand that this might happen. I never want to look in my wife's eyes. I never want to answer the phone, if we can answer the phone, and hear from my daughter, Dad, why didn't you prepare us for this? I don't ever want to look in my grandkids' eyes and have them look at me like I'm hungry and I don't know what to do. I don't care if you're white, black, or Hispanic at this point. I don't even care if you're a transformer. If you've got family that depend upon you, it is time for you to be prepared to lead. And I don't mean to offend any woman who's a single mom or anything like that. I'm specifically talking to the men. You testosterone breathing guys at this point need to pick up the armor of God and get yourselves prepared, because you will have no excuse on November 6th, 7th, or 8th, or whenever, when the shit hits the fan. No excuse whatsoever. You can't look in your wife's eyes. You can't look in your fiancés, your girlfriends, your kids. You can't look in anyone else's eyes if you don't put yourself in a position to be prepared when we win. You see, when we lose, they're going to have what they want. But when we win, they're going to take from you what you hold dear. And what are you going to do? Fold, or are you going to fight? Because I know the guy that we follow said, fight, fight, fight. And it wasn't just about taking a bullet. It's about getting your ass up. As he has said, get Harry's ass off the couch. Of course, you got to vote, but we also got to get Harry's ass off the couch, get into the garage, the bedroom, wherever you keep it. Start storing. Start getting ready. I don't want to, if I'm able to broadcast on November 6th, 7th, or 8th, I don't want to see anybody in the comments going, what do I do? You see, the upside always takes care of itself. There's nothing to worry about if you never have to dig into something. When I see the comments talking about, well, I can't buy gold, I can't buy silver because, it's not really going to matter, you're already lost. I can't help you. I'm not here to basically teach you what you need to do. I'm here to help you and guide you and sound the bell. But if you feel, I don't need to buy gold, I won't be able to eat with it anyway. All right, good for you. What happens if your neighbor says, hey, listen, I got like a barrel of fish and I got a couple mangoes, but I need to replenish it. What you got? What's my barter? What are you giving me for I'm going to give this to you? And when you go like this to him, and he goes, that don't mean nothing. I can't go to a store. Maybe I'll trade you some ammo. Maybe I'll trade you some silver. Maybe I'll trade you some gas. Maybe I'll trade you some water. You better get in that mindset, because as I've been telling you, the upside takes care of itself. But these people are playing for keeps. Don't let anyone tell you they're not playing for keeps. There's 20 million whoever's wandering around. There are Tres Leches taking over apartment complexes, and they're letting it happen. I just saw a video with more caravans coming up to Mexico. So don't tell yourself, I'm okay. You're not okay if you're not prepared. If you're prepared, then good. Sleep easy. But don't let your wife and children wake up on a day and say you got nothing to do. All right, so that's what I got to say to you right now. Let's see here. I need to go and do the super chats quickly because I have to get out of here and get ready and restart and everything else and get ready for the rally. I might be a few minutes late for some of you guys. I'm looking at the poll here, and it says 55% of you out of the 5,000 who voted, 55% said they would like to join us on a space. We're going to see if we can't put one together tomorrow. A space is basically an audio Zoom. That's the best way I can explain that. An audio Zoom where it's not just me talking, it's you talking. So we can all talk, and it's moderated, and you basically click a button to raise your hand, and you can talk and give your opinion on things as well. If we can't pull that off by tomorrow morning, we'll look at seeing if we can't do that on Monday, and it might be fun to do a space. So let me hit this up right quick. Because I also got to feed the dog. He's down here wandering around going, dude, you're talking about taking care of the kids, and I'm hungry and I don't got no fingers, so I can't make my own food. He's kind of pissed off at me, so I got to do all that, get back on here as soon as possible. So let's do this. Bang. Mac, thank you. Space doesn't work on iPad. Well, then maybe we won't do a space. I don't want to preclude anybody. Mr. Prepper, for awesome men like my hubby and you too, Barry, thank you very much. Jody Smith, that's why they've been trying to lock up Bill Cosby ever since the Cosby Show, because he betrayed a successful black family on TV. Yeah, but he also did some other crazy stuff, which is, by the way, one of the other reasons I couldn't really talk about Dan Bongino's thing. He started talking about some stuff with Harvey, and I couldn't go there. Club 1852, thank you very much. MAGA team, vote, vote, vote. Thanks for all you do, Barry. Thank you for watching. Vishu, I love men. My dad and grandpa were great men. I love seeing men stand up and do what a man's got to do. We women need to support them or get out of the way, which is ever is appropriate. Yes, stand up, men. Raven Kirkendall, can you show the clip of Kamala on the Breakfast Club pretending to be Christian? If it's on Breakfast Club, I wouldn't be able to do that on on YouTube, because it's copyright. Big Cat, thank you. You're right, Barry. They will probably ruin our communications and supply chains, and who knows what else. Even in victory, we must pray for guidance. Absolutely. Vishu, when weak men are strong men, when weak men see strong men lead, they get strong too. They can't help it. Strength equals integrity and righteousness. Raise up sons to be strong men. Absolutely. Elaine, appreciate all you do. Thank you for watching. Lucas Green, July 13th is my birthday, and it shattered my whole day after that happened, and obviously you'll never forget that day. Papa Doc, thank you. Where is that? Daniel Hall. Camel, yeah. Thanks for the comment and the super chat. Sherry Clem, Trump is a virtuous man who humbles his heart and his charitable deeds. A special thank you to all virtuous, humble men in this country. Well said. FL, twice, thank you. Trump is our Moses. Yes, we must follow and lead us out of this insanity. Tommy Radcliffe, arise, love it, men, 2024. Kyle Campbell, thank you, voted for Trump today in Washington State. Mike McCarthy, thank you very much. Thank you, Barry, for opening eyes of everyone. My wife and I are prepared, and it's because of you. Wow. Thank you very, very much for that. All right, everyone, I'm going to go feed the dog, grab something to eat myself, and be back here at about 6:30, 6:35-ish. Just go ahead. There's another thumbnail on my timeline to get ready for the big rally in Detroit tonight. That should be a lot of fun given how bad Kamala's been lately. So 6:30, and if I'm a couple minutes late, don't freak out. I'll be there. I will be there. Talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in.